Hello, and welcome back to Bedtime Stories with Vice Vice Baby, where we will continue the Sandman Hour stories. Little China Doll. In a shop window sat the little China doll. She had been in the store so long she could not remember ever living in any other space. Long, long ago, there were other China dolls, but one by one, some little girl had carried them away, and she was left alone. China doll had black painted hair and big staring eyes, and her lips and cheeks were very red. Her body was filled with sawdust, and her hands and arms to the elbow were china, as were her feet and legs to her knees. And by, wax dolls came to the store. They had real hair, all curls, and eyes that would open and close. And poor China doll was set back in the window, and after a while she was put in a box on the shelf and taken out only once a year at Christmas time, when she was dusted and put in the window again. She felt very lonely with so many stylish wax dolls, and as she had given up hope of ever being chosen by any little girl, she was glad when the little old lady who kept the store put her back in the box on the shelf. At last, there came a time when the children no longer came to the store, but went to the big city for their toys, and China Doll and the little old storekeeper grew older together. China Doll sat in the window all the time now, with tape and thread and other useful things, but was the only thing little folks could want. One day in summer, a tally-ho stopped in front of the store, and a party of young people came in. They bought a number of things and filled the old store with their laughter. Suddenly, the prettiest girl reached into the window and took out China Doll. "Oh, you dear, quaint little doll," she said. "My grandmother has one just like this girl's, and I have asked her many times to give it to me to make a French pincushion, but she will not let me have it." Oh, how China Doll's heart beat. Could it be true that she was going at last? Yes, the pretty girl bought her and took her away in the tally-ho. Next day, she dressed China Doll in the prettiest silk dress, such a one as she had dreamed of years ago, with an overskirt and pearled sleeves. Then she made her the dearest poke bonnet trimmed with little roses. She also made her a pair of kid boots. When China Doll was all dressed, the pretty girl put a ribbon over her arm, and each end was a little bandbox. Then she stood China Doll on her dressing table and used the little boxes for pincushions, and there China Doll lived a very happy life, which teaches that all things come to those who wait. The Disorderly Girl. Louise was going out of the door with her sled when her mother called to her. Louise hesitated, for she knew that her mother was calling her to make her play room tidy, and she wanted to go coasting with the other children. She went back slowly and asked, "What is it, Mother?" "Your playroom must be put in order before you can go out to play," her mother replied. "You have had plenty of time this week to do it, but you have neglected it, and now you cannot put it off another day." "Why can't Jane do it?" asked Louise. "Jane will clean the room," her mother replied, "but it is your duty to pick up the books and toys that are strewn about." Louise pouted, but she knew that she must do as her mother said, and she took off her hat and coat and went up to her playroom. She went in and closed the door. It certainly was a very disorderly looking room. Books were on the floor and games were on the table. Doll clothes were strewn in a part of the room. It certainly was a very disorderly looking room. Books were on the floor, and games were on the table. Doll clothes were strewn in all parts of the room. Louise had picked up most of the things when she saw from the window her little friend Clara passing the house. "Clara," she called, "wait for me. I have to put my playroom in order before I can go coasting." But Clara would not wait. Louise closed the window, threw herself on the couch, and began to cry, saying she thought it was mean everybody was going coasting but her. All at once, she saw two little girls walking towards her. They looked just like her dolls, Bella and Emily, only they were as large as herself. Louise tried to get up, but she was unable to move. "Let us undress her," said Bella doll, coming over to Louise and lifting her by one arm. "Yes," said Emily doll, and comb her hair. Then Louise knew what had happened. She had turned into a doll, and the dolls had become little girls. The doll girls undressed Louise and put on her nightdress, pulling it over her head in the most careless manner, Louise thought. Then they combed her hair, pulling it terribly. "I wonder how she likes to have her hair pulled," said Bella doll. "She knows how it feels now," said Emily. "I think she'd better go out," said Bella doll, instead of going to bed. And they dressed her in a thin white dress. "Now we will take her out in the cold. That is the way she does with us." They fastened her clothes with pins and pushed them right through her bodies. They fastened her clothes with pins and pushed them right through her body. And after she was dressed, they changed their minds about taking her out and threw her on the floor and began playing games. "I wonder if they're going to leave me here," thought Louise. "Someone will be sure to step on me." Just then, she saw a teddy bear lying on his side under the couch. "Why are you under there?" Louise asked. "The little girl who was playing with me dropped me back of the couch a week ago," she said, "and I've been here ever since, and you will probably remain on the floor where you are now, for she never picks up her toys. She's a very careless girl." Louise did not reply, for just then Emily doll came over to the couch for a book and pushed Louise out of the way with her foot. Bella doll sat out a croquet set, and one of the balls hit Louise on the head. Then Emily dropped her book and said, "Come along, Bella. Let us go outdoors." Louise watched them as they went out. "Oh, this is the way she always leaves her room," said Teddy Bear, for he could not see from under the couch there were two little girls, and thought it was Louise who went out of the door. "She never thinks of us," the teddy bear continued, "or how uncomfortable we may be, for she is a very careless and untidy girl." The door opened and Bella doll came in. She went over the couch for her hat, and Louise saw her foot over her head. "She will break me if she steps on me," cried poor Louise, and she jumped up as she cried aloud. There she was on the couch. She had been asleep, then got up and finished her work, when suddenly she thought of the teddy bear and looked under the couch. There he was on his side, just as she had seen him in her dream. Louise picked him up and sat him in a chair. Then she looked at Bella's clothes to make sure there were no pins pricking her. And after looking at Emily also, she put both of them in a comfortable place. Her books were put on a shelf, and she resolved never again to let her room get so untidy, or to let her dolls or teddy bears suffer from neglect. "Perhaps they do feel things," she said. "Anyway, I'll be sure not to hurt them or let them be in uncomfortable positions, for I was very miserable lying on the floor thinking I might be stepped upon." thank you for tuning into this episode of Bedtime Stories with Vice Vice Baby. I hope you all have a good night and sweet dreams.